Hello to all of you dear and lovely audience of the Elixir of Awareness channel. Welcome to the episode 25. The third step in the path of personal development is planning. We want to teach you 57 principles of planning, which if you pay attention to them, you can change your life. So be ready to introduce 57 principles of planning. The first principle: under any circumstances and at any cost, do the schedule that you write. The second principle: under any circumstances and at any cost, do the schedule you that write. The third principle: under any circumstances and at any cost, do the schedule that you write. And another 54 principles are not important at all. The most important principle of planning is that we follow the plan that we wrote on paper under any circumstances. As we said before in the episode Sufficient Human, sometimes the obsessions of perfectionism make us cancel our plans. For example, if we're learning a foreign language or doing sports right now because we don't see the final results, we think it won't affect our future. But we've a slogan, and that slogan is, at the beginning of the work, don't worry about the quality. In the beginning, quality isn't important at all. Only quantity is important, so don't worry about how to start. Even if you're so upset that you cry while reading a book, stay in the same position and cry, and don't put the book aside and don't change your place. At any cost, follow and do the plan you wrote or have in mind. Then you'll see that gradually the quality will also appear. If you type planning methods in Google, hundreds of thousands of results will be displayed. For example, Brian Tracy's method or Tony Robbins' method, and various other methods. But why do we still have problems with planning despite all these resources? The answer is simple: because our problem isn't how to plan. Our problem is only we can't act on that damned daily planning paper. And we abandon it with the first challenge and problem that comes up. The decision is like a fish, easy to catch but hard to keep in hand. That's why the drawer of most gyms is full of membership cards of people who didn't come to the gym for more than 2 weeks. Because they canceled their training program every time for a different reason. One day because of tiredness and one day because of doing something else. So please follow and finish your schedule at any cost. Coach Michael Phelps, the American swimmer and holder of the most Olympic golden medals, was asked what's the secret of Michael's success. In response, he said, "I've been Michael's coach for 12 years and he hasn't canceled his training even once during these 12 years. Only one night, because it was his best friend's wedding, he shortened his training to only 15 minutes. He followed his training plan for 12 years at any cost and under any conditions." But in your opinion, haven't there been days when he was bored or had a cold or failed in love? It was definitely like this, but he did not cancel his training program at any cost. So please don't focus on quality at the beginning. If you write on paper or in your cell phone notes that you have to do something tomorrow, don't let the obsessions of perfectionism cause you to procrastinate your tasks. Yes, sometimes something's more important happens, but if you follow the principles of prioritization that we explained in the previous episode, your tasks won't interfere with each other. There are some important points about lifestyle scheduling that can help us. There's a book that sold millions of copies called Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. We want to summarize this book for you in 1 minute. 2 basic laws form the basic and important structure of this book. The first rule is that if you have a difficult and unpleasant but important task with positive results ahead of you, postponing it won't help you. Eat that frog. That is, just do it. Do the hardest work that you have to do today. And the second rule: if there are 2 frogs on the table, eat the one that is uglier and more disgusting first. That is to say, do the harder work first. So if, for example, you want to study tomorrow, start the day with the lesson in which you have the most problems. Or start your day with the phone call you've been thinking all week about how to make. If we do the hardest work first tomorrow, it gives us the confidence to finish the day with energy and enthusiasm. So if you're hesitating between doing your works, first just do the work that is most difficult for you. Another point is, let's decide that from now on our relationship with time be a sacred relationship. For example, if you're going to do something, even consider every single minute. For instance, don't say I'll read a book from 5 to 6 tomorrow. Instead, that you can say that I'll read from 5:03 to 6:03. An interesting saying says, take care of your minutes because hours can take care of themselves. This loving, detailed, and obsessive relationship with time will help us grow. If others realize that even minutes are important to you, this mindset will eventually form in their minds that you respect the time. In the final part of this episode, we're going to provide you with some practical tips on how to plan. First tip, determine how you spend your day. Before preparing an optimal schedule, you should be aware of the tasks you do during the day and how to set them up. For example, if you have to go to university or work, then these things and the time related to them aren't at your disposal. But you can easily change and decide about them in your free time. Second point, estimate the time you're commuting. We spend most of the day going from one place to another place. And these displacements are necessary for us. Calculate the time required for these trips and allocate enough time for them in your schedule. Third tip, determine when you're most productive. While planning, pay attention to the order of priority of doing things. It's better to do important and urgent tasks, and of course, more difficult tasks that require more concentration at times when you're most productive. Most people work better in the mornings and the afternoons. They use this time to answer phone calls and receive emails. But if you're more comfortable and more productive at other times, there's no problem. Fourth tip, know that your habits affect your daily life. Doing things according to our daily schedule shows us how much our life is influenced by our habits. Sometimes some bad habits prevent you from reaching your goals, while some habits are beneficial and have positive effects. When planning your daily routine, identify beneficial and harmful habits. Fifth tip, reduce wasted time. Maybe some of the things you do seem like a waste of time, but some of them are really unavoidable, like commuting to work or going to a certain office at the busiest time of the day, just because you urgently need a signed form. So check your daily schedule, and if possible, make changes to reduce time wastage. If it isn't possible to change things, maybe it isn't bad. If possible, do some things in your wasted time. For example, you can eat your breakfast on the way to work and on the bus, or listen to educational podcasts while driving. And the final tip is to plan every day the night before. It's better to plan for tomorrow than the night before. If you have no experience in daily planning, it will probably take you some time to manage a good and perfect schedule. It's better to prepare a temporary plan of the order of works based on the priority and time required for each one and consider the possibility of relocation and flexibility for it. We suggest you watch our 24th episode to learn the principles of prioritization. Well, we've reached the end of this episode. These tips that we said will help us to fight for our dreams differently from now on. And the final question of this episode is, do you have a specific weekly or daily schedule for your works? What's your experience regarding this issue? Thank you very much for accompanying us until the end. But don't forget, there are still 5 more steps left. So wait for our next episodes.